we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're actually going to start in a very atypical way. So we're going to actually start at the wall. So I want everybody to stand up, and if you want to, you can actually put your mat flush against the wall or anything that you're using as a wall. We're just going to start by actually coming in contact with our feet. You might want a block or a blanket a little bit later, but you will need a wall space. Fantastic. And then once you get to your wall, go ahead and face the wall. Yeah, there are lots of windows in there, Laura. That's fantastic. Okay, and then once you're facing the wall, keep your right foot forward, step your left foot back as far as you want, and you want to make sure you're pointing your left toes towards the right so your leg is internally rotated. And you're going to just press your arms or forearms or whatever the heck is touching the wall into the wall. And I want you to notice how you can bend your front knee and make little micro adjustments to your back ankle. So maybe you'll press more on your pinky toes, maybe you'll press more on your big toes, but your whole back thigh is internally rotated. So your left toes are pointing more towards the right than forward. And your left heel is pointing more towards the left than forward. And you're just noticing what it feels like to maybe bend the front knee a little bit more, to maybe press on the inner edge of the left foot, the outer edge of the left foot. And then from here, you'll just notice if you're breathing or not, and if you can feel the sensation change along the back of your left calf. And then go ahead and shift your weight forward, peel to the ball of your back foot. Go ahead and plant the foot. So now it's neutral. So now your toes are pointing straight forward towards the wall in front of you. And again, you'll press down into the left heel, and notice what happens if you press more onto the pinky toe edge of the left foot or the big toe edge of the left foot. Notice now what happens if you bend the left knee just a little bit and then straighten the left leg long. Notice what happens if you perhaps press your hands into the wall and come off of the forearms. Yep. And then from here, I want you to peel the ball of, or rather the heel of the left foot up and away from the floor. Bend your left knee so your foot is almost like in a toe squat position. And then you're just pausing and breathing and stretching the whole sole of the left foot. Nice job. Okay, go ahead and come up. Now externally rotate that back leg. So now your back foot is more in a warrior one position. Left toes are pointing to the upper left corner of the mat. Maybe your forearms come back to the wall. And then you might start just bending the back knee a smidge. And by a smidge, I mean maybe an inch, maybe less. Notice what happens if you press onto the ankle side or outer ankle side of the foot. Press on the big toe side of the foot. And then at the end of your next exhale, gently come up. Step your left foot next to your right. Take a moment to pause facing the wall and just notice if you notice anything between the sides. So today we're going to work on a lot of things to start to open up the lower legs in order to do some standing and balancing poses. And so then we'll try all that on the other side. So hands come back to the wall. Step your right foot back. Turn your right toes towards the left side of your mat. So you're internally rotating that back leg. And how much you internally rotate it depends upon you. Yep. And then again, press onto the pinky toe edge of that back foot. Press into the big toe edge of that back foot. And just notice what happens if you just take micro movements of adjusting the back ankle, how that changes the sensation in your back calf. You might even slightly bend that knee if you want to here, but it's going to intensify things if you do. And then go ahead and come out of that, come to the ball of the foot, point your toes directly forward to face the wall, and then slowly lower the heel back towards the floor. And now you might come onto your hands and walk your elbows away from the wall and notice what that feels like. You might press more onto the outer edge of the foot or the inner edge of the foot. You might slightly bend your back knee. And you're just noticing what's happening in terms of the stretch that you're feeling along the back of the leg. And then go ahead and come to stillness. And this time we are going to shift the weight forward, coming to the ball of the foot. Go ahead and bend your right knee. Keep your right heel reaching straight up and find a little toe squat position happening just in that right foot. Notice how this feels and notice if you stopped breathing. Awesome. And then gently release that and externally rotate the whole left foot. So now it's like a warrior one, warrior two external rotation of that back leg. And then again, you'll press onto the outside edge of the foot. You might bend the back knee just a smidge and notice what that does. Nice job. And you got one more breath cycle here. Very gently, you'll come out of this, step your right foot forward to meet your left foot. Notice what you notice between the sides. Step away from the wall enough that you can straighten your arms if you need to. Okay, from here, shift all the weight to your left foot, lift your right leg up, cross your right leg over like you're sitting in a dress and you don't want to flash anybody, so your thighs are together. Put your right foot on the floor and first bring the top of the foot to the floor like you're pointing it like a dancer. Bend that left knee, push your hands into the wall and sit your butt back. Some of you will find a stretch happening here in the outer hip and be perfectly fine. Some of you will reach your arms up and overhead and arc towards your left just a little bit. And you're just finding a little stretch happening on your right side. Great. Gently come out of this. And then you're going to try that on the other side. So shift the weight into the right foot, cross the left leg up and over. The foot is on the floor. Go ahead and bring the top of the left foot to the floor. Bend into your knees a lot. You might have your hands on the wall and stay there. You might arc up and over to the right just to find a stretch along your left side body. And you just pause. And you breathe and you notice the stretch happening here. Awesome sauce. And then go ahead and gently come out of this. Plant both feet on the floor. Have your hands on the wall. Shift your weight to the left leg. Lift your right leg up. Cross your right ankle over the top of your left knee. Bend your knee, your left knee, and sit your butt back for a seated figure four. Now in the seated figure four, you really push your butt away from the wall and you can really push your hands into the wall and you'll find more of a stretch happening in that outer edge of the hip as you bend your left knee somewhere towards a 90-degree angle. Nice job. And then you'll gently come out of this. Lower the right foot down. Shift your weight to the right leg, lift the left leg up, cross the left ankle over, and then start to press your pelvis back, press your hands forward, bending deeply into that right knee. Make sure that left foot is super, super duper active. Yeah, and then you'll notice if you're breathing and then see if you can lengthen your head out of your spine. Yep. Nice job. And then gently you'll come out of this. And then take a moment to just notice what you notice now. We didn't start with breath, but in this moment, I want you to see if you can feel your breath. It's so interesting how often just doing a little bit of stretch can help us connect more physically to the body, including to the breath. So at this moment, I want you to see if you can start to invite in a conscious, deep breath. And we'll see if we can stay with that through the remainder of the practice. So bring your hands once again to the wall. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, lift your right knee up towards your face, parallel-ish to the floor. Flex through that foot, pull your toes up towards your knees, and take a bigger breath in as you lift up through the spine. As you exhale, bend your supporting leg, step your right foot long and back for a warrior two position. Keep your hands on the wall for the moment. Now with your hands on the wall and your back foot down, notice if you need to step your front foot forward to have a long warrior two position. Great. From here, peel your right hand off of the wall and start to spin your chest towards the right. Keep pressing down into your back foot, bend into your front knee. Now push your hands or fingertips into the wall so much that you can send your rib cage back so that your ribs are over your hips. Yes. Great. Now take a moment to pause here. Continue to bend into the front knee. On your next in-breath, reach your left arm up, lower your right hand to touch your right thigh, and take a reverse warrior. Reach up through the left arm and just find a nice side body stretch here. And you're just noticing what you notice as we breathe here. Keep bending into your front knee, drawing the knee towards the wall as though it could touch. Yep. Next inhalation, go ahead and come back to vertical with the spine. As you exhale, maybe you touch the wall again. Start to press your front leg to straight and notice how you can press the wall away as you do that. Nice job. From here, take a breath in. On your next exhale, keep your side body long and reach your left hand down towards the floor or the ankle. Now, because you guys are pretty close to the wall, I want you to see if you can press down into your front big toe. Hug your outer left hip back and away from the wall, and then press down into the pinky toe edge of your back foot. Now lengthen your tailbone back away from you and see if you can get your crown to touch the wall. Yes, as you rotate your chest towards the right. Nice. Next in-breath, go ahead and come back up to vertical. And your head's not literally going to touch, it's just an idea. As you exhale, go ahead and lower both arms down. Turn both feet parallel to the long edge of your mat. Now from here, open the arms out into a T shape once again. Lower your left arm to touch your left hip. Reach your right arm up and overhead and take a side bend towards the wall. And see if you can really imagine that your right fingertips are going to touch that wall as you press down into the right pinky toe, as you roll the left ribs forward and under, the right ribs up, and just find that nice side body stretch. Nice job. Next inhalation, come back up to center, both arms parallel to the floor. And then exhale, we'll go the other side. So now the right hand touches the right thigh, the left arm reaches up and overhead. And now the wall on the other side is probably much further away, but see if you can still imagine that you're pressing down onto the left pinky toe edge of the foot. You're reaching up through the left hand. You're rolling the right ribs forward. Yep, so the left ribs can stack on top. And you're just finding a nice long stretch on that whole left side. Nice job, guys. All right, go ahead and inhale and come back up through center. Just take a moment to drop the arms, roll the shoulders, and notice what you notice. How are you breathing in this moment? How does the body feel? We started off with some pretty intense things, but just notice how you feel. And then as you're ready, you'll come and face the wall once again. Bring your hands to touch the wall, press the wall away. Shift the weight to your right leg and float your left leg up. Flex through that left knee, drawing it as close to your chest as possible. Lift up through the crown, draw the low belly in. And then on your next exhale, bend the supporting leg, step your left leg long and back for a warrior two. And then you'll notice when you step that foot back, you might need to step your right foot forward, but the wall is there, so you can press into the wall and step your foot forward. And really make sure you've got a long stance from the front foot to the back foot. Continue to press down into the knife edge of your left foot, and then you'll start to open your left arm to the left. You'll open your left rib cage to the left. And then see if you can continue to bend into the front knee, the right knee, as you draw the outer right hip back. Nice job. And bend even more into that front knee as though the front knee could kiss the wall. There you go. Fantastic. Now from here, push your front hand into the wall so much that your rib cage comes back and settles over your hips. Yep. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and lower the back arm to touch the thigh, and your right arm will reach up and overhead for an extended, or rather reversed warrior. And you're just taking a moment to breathe. Can you continue to bend into the legs as you reach up through that right arm? Nice job, guys. Next in breath, come back to a warrior two. Hand might come back to the wall. As you exhale, press the wall away, straighten your front leg long. And then from here, hinging at your hips, reach forward through that right arm, bring the right hand to the shin, to the floor, or maybe even a block. And then you'll just notice what you need to do here to press your right big toe down into the floor, to draw your outer right hip back and away, and then to press from your left hip down to your left pinky toe. Notice that you can draw the tailbone back towards that inner thigh and then almost reach your head as though it could touch the wall in front of you coming out of this shape. From here, gently come up and out, returning back to that warrior two position. Go ahead and straighten your front leg long. Turn both feet parallel to the short edge of your mat. Now this time you're going to turn your toes out, your heels in. Bend your knees and pop a squat. And you want to make sure you've got a pretty long stance. And some of you will just bring your hands to the tops of your thighs, locking out your arms. You might take a gentle twist of lowering one shoulder towards the opposite knee, and then perhaps going to the other side, offering the shoulder to the opposite knee. Some of you will choose to stay in center and we'll just have our hands and heart center, but we'll be here for another 4 or 5 breaths. So you choose what works for you. And you're just noticing, we're starting off with a lot of leg stuff, and you're just noticing what you notice and how it feels. Awesome. Those that are going from side to side, go ahead and come to stillness. We're all going to go ahead and straighten our legs. Turn your toes in, your heels out. So now both legs are parallel to the short edges of your mat. Bring your hands to your low back and interlace your fingers, the awkward opposite interlace. Draw shoulders up to ears, draw shoulder blades onto back, and see if you can lift your heart just a smidge. And now this is going to be our first inversion of the day. So you're going to go slowly. You're going to start to hinge forward at your hip. And then once you're about halfway down, if you feel like you've got the capacity, you'll continue to let your head go towards the floor and reach your arms up towards the sky. If you need to, you'll bring your hands, or want to, hands will come to your pelvis, slide down the legs and to the floor. But you're just going to take a few moments, to pause and to breathe here. Notice where the weight is in your feet. And you press on the outer edges of the feet and lift up through the inner ankles. Nice. Those whose hands are at your back, bring your hands to your bum. Slide them down the legs and to the floor. And then from here, we're all going to turn to face the front of our mat, coming into a low lunge. And then go ahead and step your front foot back to meet your back foot. Now, this is going to be fun, so we're going to see how this goes. So bring your body into that planky pose. Yep. Now step your right foot as wide as your mat, maybe even off the mat. Then step your left foot as wide as your mat or off the mat. Then step your left foot back to the midline. Then step your right foot back to the midline. Now step your left foot off the mat to the left, and the right foot off the mat and to the right. Then step your left foot back to the midline, and your right foot back to the midline. You get to do 4 more of those on your own. You can go as fast or as slow as you want, but we're just building some core strength in a very awkward way. And you're just noticing what you notice. And after you've done about 5 sets total, so 5 each time, you're going to go ahead and lower the knees. And you'll take a little breath in child's pose. And just notice what that feels like. And now here's your second inversion of the class. And you just notice, how's the breath working now? How are you working now? We're working on this idea of closeness. Some of you came into me talking to Barbara about this book that I'm reading, and this is one of the words he defines as closeness. And so we're going to see how that plays out. All right, let's go ahead and inhale, come forward to hands and knees. As you exhale, curl the toes under, lift the hips up, downward facing dog, third inversion of the class. And I want you to notice how this down dog feels today. You might start with your knees super bent. You might slowly pedal through the feet, but we did open up the calves at the beginning of the practice. So just notice if that feels different. Notice what's happening in your shoulders. And again, notice what's happening in the breath. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and inhale and come forward into a plank pose. Make sure you're far enough away from the wall to do this. So you might need to walk your feet back and then your hands back. Yep, and then you'll go ahead and inhale, shift your weight forward and slowly lower down through chaturanga, all the way to your belly. Nice job. Once you find yourself there, bring your hands alongside your ribs, bring the tops of the feet to the floor, and then you'll inhale, pull your heart and sternum forward as though you wanted to touch your crown to the wall. Press down into the tops of the feet. Make sure your legs are long. And then I want you to imagine that I am touching the center of your skull. Reach the center of your skull towards that wall. Draw the shoulders together on your back and then press into the hands as much as you want to lift into your cobra. But you're elongating through the center of your skull, through the tailbone, through the feet. Nice job. Nice job, guys. As you're ready, go ahead and lower all the way down. Curl your toes under. Your choice, come up through hands and knees or plank pose. And then make your way back to downward facing dog. Nice work. Take 2 breaths here. And I want you to really notice, what does it feel like to press your hands into the floor or the mat? What does it feel like to lift your heels up? What does it feel like to lower your heels down? What does it feel like to lift your hips up? Yeah, what does it feel like to lift the low belly up? Nice job. At the end of your next exhale, go ahead and bend your knees and step or float to the top of your space. Nice. Now, when you get to the top of your space, separate your feet hip distance apart. Go ahead and bend your knees to a 90-degree angle. And then reach your heart forward, your head forward. Your arms might walk up the wall. And then you might reach your arms alongside your ears. Some of you will stay right here in this chair pose with your fingertips reaching up. Some of you will lift the soles of your feet up and away from the floor, so you're balancing on the balls of the feet. And the wall is there in case you fall, so no worries. We're going to stay here for about a minute. And I want you to see how low you can sit your butt, how high you can lift your heels, how forward you can press your knees. Yep. And the wall is there. And are we breathing? Are we breathing? Apparently, since a lot of you are runners, this is really good for your arches. So you just breathe, and you pause, and you breathe. I like that, Sandy. Yep, I'm watching you. And then when you're ready, you might see if you can stand all the way to straight, keeping your heels lifted. The wall is there if you need it. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Good job, guys. And then slowly lower the heels down. Slowly lower the arms down. Notice what you notice. Do you need to wiggle? Do you need to shake? Was that easier? Was that harder? Are you breathing? David Whyte makes this point that we're always trying to get somewhere, but he says it's almost like the closeness of getting somewhere is what we find enjoyable. So we'll see if that's true or not. Let's go ahead and reach your hands out to the side, parallel-ish to the floor. Shift the weight to your left leg, float your right leg up and over. Bend your left knee, cross your right thigh completely over for Garudasana, eagle pose. Maybe the toes hook behind, maybe the toes touch the floor to the left. Now from here, arms come forward and touch the wall. Your right arm sweeps underneath your left. You might stay there. You might double wrap the arms and lift the elbows up and bend into your supporting leg. And just notice how you doing. Are you breathing? Nice work, guys. To come out of this, you'll unwind the arms, maybe touch the wall and open them out, and unwind the leg. Plant the right foot next to the left. Yeah, and then just notice what you notice. Lower the arms, shake, wiggle, anything you need to. And then we'll try all that on the other side. So shift the weight to your right leg. Float your left leg up. Cross the leg up and over. Go ahead and bend that right leg a lot. The arms are parallel-ish to the floor. They come to touch in front of you, and then your left arm sweeps under. Your right arm on top. You might double wrap the arms. You might continue to touch the wall, but continue to bend into that supporting leg as best as you can. Press the right knee against the left knee against the right. Lift the chest as you sit the pelvis low. Yep. And then when you're ready, you'll gently bring the arms back to the wall and touch. You'll open the arms out. You'll unwind the leg. You'll plant the foot next to the other foot. Nice work. All right. Let's go ahead and step forward to the wall. I want you to bend your elbows to make a 90-degree angle with your arms. So you have to be close enough to the wall where you've got this weird T-Rex thing going on. So your arms are at a 90-degree angle. Okay. And then you're going to step your feet back enough so that your arms are straight. And then you're just going to do a little baby push-up for me. So you're going to push up and press away. And you're going to push up and press away. I'm going to do about 4 of these. Push up and press away. Yep. Push up and press away. Great. Okay. And then from here, the next time your arms are straight, go ahead and leave them there. And I want you to start to walk your feet back until you're at that L dog at the wall. So now our butt is pressing away. Our rib cage ideally is about parallel-ish to the floor. Our hands are pushing into the wall as much as they just were with our little push-ups. Yeah, nice job, guys. Okay. And then without shifting too much in your spine, see if you can float your right leg parallel-ish to the floor. Flex through the right foot, press down into the left foot, lift up through the inner right thigh. Sandy, press into your left arm even more. There we go. And then very gently, you'll lower that right leg down, and you'll do the same thing on the other side. Press into the right foot, float the left leg parallel-ish to the floor. Make sure the toes are pointing straight down. The left hip is pointing straight down. Yep. Awesome sauce. Go ahead and lower that foot down. Now you're going to bend your knees and start to crawl your hands down the wall and to the floor. Down the wall and to the floor. Some of you might need blocks at this point, but I think most of us should be okay. Walk your hands back close enough to you that you're in this weird halfway lift position. So like if you were in halfway lift, fingertips are underneath your shoulders, your spine can be parallel-ish to the floor, the knees are still bent. Now walk your left hand slightly off to the left. Float your right leg parallel-ish to the floor. Great. Now stack your right hip on top of your left hip. Keep bending into your front knee. Some of you will slowly peel your right arm up towards the sky for a half moon. So Laura, keep the whole left heel on the floor. There you go. Lift the inner right thigh, Sandy. And then very gently, you'll lower the right hand down to the floor. You'll square your hips to the floor. You'll bend both knees and plant both feet on the floor. And then we'll try that on the other side. So your right hand comes slightly to the right. You'll lift your left leg parallel-ish to the floor. Stack your left hip on top of your right. Slowly peel your rib cage towards the left to stack the left ribs on top of the right. And then you might reach that top arm up. Nice job. And then very gently, you'll come out of this. So you'll square your chest back to the floor. You'll square your hips to the floor. You'll step your left foot to meet your right. From here, bend both knees, plant both palms, and step yourself back to downward facing dog. And you'll just take a moment to pause and breathe. So with both, or rather the supporting leg bent on that half moon, it might have felt more interesting or different, and you just notice what you notice. Great. On your next in-breath, go ahead and come forward into plank pose. Make sure you're far enough away from the wall, so you might need to crawl back. And then you'll exhale, shift your weight forward, lower all the way down. Bring the tops of the feet to the floor. Keep looking down at the floor as you do this one, and I want you to press your hands down into the floor, draw your shoulder blades together on your back, and slowly pull your heart up into cobra. But keep looking down at the floor and notice how that keeps your neck long. And then draw the shoulder blades onto the back even more, lengthen the tailbone back, and maybe then you start to pull the gaze up. Nice job, guys. Nice job. And you again come as high as you want, but we're focusing on the back body doing that. Yeah, and then lower all the way down as you're ready. Curl the toes under. Press up through hands and knees or plank. And go back to downward facing dog. Nice work. All right. Take 2 breaths here and just notice what you notice. At the end of your exhalation, take a big breath in. And then as you exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, step or float, top of space. Nice work. From there, inhale, halfway lift, careful of head and spine. And then as you exhale, you're going to bend your knees, sit your butt low, coming back to chair pose once again. So you might crawl your hands up the wall until your arms are alongside your ears. Some of you will stay here. Some of you will peel the heels of the feet off the floor again and come into that weird wobble position, seeing if you can bring your heels as high as possible as you bend your knees as low as possible. Your legs are going to feel this. Yep. At the end of your next in-breath, push down through the feet, keep the heels lifted, straighten the legs and come up. And then exhale, lower the hands, lower the heels, come down. All right. Let's see if we can start to add a lot of these things on. So some of you will bring your hands back to the wall. Actually, most of us, let's just start with our hands on the wall. Push your hands into the wall. Shift the weight into your left leg. Float your right leg up, parallel-ish to the floor. Pull your knee as close to your face as possible. Yep. And then if you want, your hands can stay there or your hands can slowly crawl up and away from the wall like we did in chair pose. Awesome. From here, start to bend your supporting leg. Start to step your right foot long and back, coming into a high crescent lunge. High crescent lunge. So both feet are pointing towards the wall. Nice job. On your next exhale, start to hinge at your hips, bringing your hands perhaps down the wall and all the way to the floor or blocks underneath you. From here, you'll shift your weight forward enough to float your back leg parallel-ish to the floor. Hands are underneath you. Now bend your supporting leg. Take your right leg all the way over to the left side of your space. We're doing that speed skater thing. So the whole outside edge of your right foot is touching the floor. Right toes in line with left toes. Walk your hands over towards the left. Right hand in between the space of your front foot, so your left foot and your right foot, and then you'll peel your rib cage and chest over towards the left. Yep, keep bending your left knee, Laura. That's the front knee. Yeah. And then very gently, you're going to unwind the ribs, touch the hands back down to the floor, unwind the legs. Yep. And come back to a forward fold at the top of your space. Great. From here, we're going to try all that on the other side. So go ahead and sit your pelvis low for your chair. Walk your hands up the wall. Maybe keep your hands on the wall or walk them all the way up so your arms are alongside your ears. Now, some of you will keep the heels down. Some of you will lift your heels up and away from the floor. Keep bending the knees towards that 90-degree angle. Heels high. On the inhale, stand up, reach up, keep the heels lifted. Yeah, good job, guys. And then as you're ready, lower the heels down, lower the arms down. Great. Bring your hands back to the wall. Shift your weight into your right leg. Pull your left knee as close to your face as possible. Pull the toes up towards your face. Yep. Really press down into that right leg. And then you might walk your hands up the wall towards the sky so that the arms are up and you're just hovering here. Yeah. Then as you're ready, you'll bend the supporting leg and start to take that back leg back to a high crescent lunge with as much control as possible. Nice work, guys. Great. And then from here, next exhale, hinge forward at the hips. Bring your hands down towards the floor. Shift your weight forward and float your back leg up parallel-ish to the floor. Yep, really flex through that back foot. Great. As you're ready, bend the supporting leg. Cross the left leg behind you and to the right. Bring the whole outside edge of the foot to the floor. And then walk your hands to the right. Your left hand is between your front foot, so your right foot and your left foot. And then you'll peel your right arm up towards the sky for a twist. So Roberta, bend your knee a little bit more in the front. There you go. Yep. And your crown reaches forward as best as it can without touching the, there you go, Sandy. And then very gently unwind the arms, unwind the legs. Plant both hands, step back to a downward facing dog. You might choose to stay there, or you might cycle through an up dog or cobra or not. Then we're all going to meet in a little toe squat, so you take your time to get there. All right. So let's do a looky-loo. So Barbara, turn around just so you can see. I wanted us to play with an inversion today. So we'll see how that goes. How are we feeling right now? Sandy's like, yes, I want to do an inversion. Okay, so we're just going to play with a lot of the things that we did before. So you guys are going to sit there and toe squat. If at any point in time, I trust you to come out of it. And you're just going to watch. So we're going to make sure that, again, here is our down dog shape. We're going to walk our hands down. We want to make sure that there's at least 1 foot between our hands and the wall. And so we're going to plant our hands and then we're going to step back to our down dog. This time we're going to lift our leg up. This is going to be the first time that we've done this whole class, but I want you to step the foot between the foot, the front hands and the foot. So you're not going to come all the way up. You'll then lift the back leg up and you're going to kick a few times to come up. Okay. And if you happen to find some hang time, you might stay there or you might not. Don't worry, I will talk you through it, but do we have any questions before we start? I got a no questions. Okay. If you were in toe squat, take the counter stretch. And we've got time, so don't worry. And we're going to do it a few times. So take your counter stretch, have your little break. And then when you feel ready to try it, you'll go ahead and stand up and face your wall. Okay. And you want to first bring your hands to your wall and then walk your butt back for your L dog shape. Just to start to prepare ourselves to invert. And then when you're ready, you'll bend your knees and start to crawl your hands down the wall into the floor. And you want to make sure that you have about a foot between your wall and your hands, maybe a little longer if you're taller than I am. And then you're going to bend your knees and walk your feet back to your downward facing dog. Great. And then just for kicks and giggles, so we're all on the same side, inhale, lift your right leg up and back. Really flex through that foot. And then as you exhale, step the right foot between the space of your hands and your back foot. When you're ready, shift the weight into your hands, kick your left foot up towards the wall. Yeah, good job, guys. Yeah, nice work, Roberta. Nice, Jason. Nice, Sandy. Nice, Laura. Yeah, good job, Laura. Good job, Barbara. Yep. Yep. And then when you are ready to come down, you're going to slowly, super duly, slowly come down. And then you'll go ahead and try that on the other side when you're ready. And if you're like, yeah, Jessica, I don't want to do any of this, just lay down and put your legs up the wall. But when you are ready, if you are trying it, you're going to start in down dog. You'll lift your left leg up and back. You'll step your left leg halfway forward between your hands and your back foot. And then you'll lift the right leg up, bending into, that side's better for you, Roberta, lifting up and seeing how that goes. Nice, Laura. Nice, Laura. Keep pushing down through that left arm even more, Laura. There you go. Yep. Nice, Barbara. Nice, Sandy. Nice, Jason. And then after you've done a few of those, you're just going to come down and lay down in child's pose for a bit. Come down, lay down in child's pose for a bit. Come down, lay down in child's pose for a bit. Yeah, and you just breathe. That was fun. We've been upside down in a while. Yep, and you just pause and you breathe. And you just got 2 more breath cycles here. And so you just notice what you notice happening here. Great. And then when you're ready, you're going to come forward to hands and knees again. And this time we're going to go back to downward facing dog. We're going to do another shape we haven't done in a while. So happy days. We'll see how this one goes. From down dog, go ahead and inhale, lift your right leg up and back. And as you exhale, draw your right outer edge of your foot to your left hand for pigeon pose. So we're going to try to come for pigeon pose with the shin as parallel-ish to the front of your mat as possible. Flex through that right foot. And your pelvis might not be anywhere near the floor, and that's totally okay. Curl the back toes under and see if you can really draw the outer right hip back, the outer left hip forward. Blocks under hands might be helpful here, or block under that right hip might be helpful here. But you're just pausing and you're breathing. And I want you to notice small little adjustments that you can make. Notice what happens if you drop your tailbone down. Notice what happens if you press your right big toe mound over to the left even more. Notice what happens if you see if you can pull your pubic bone up. Yep, and some of you will stay here. Some of you will start to walk your chest towards the floor. Some of you will reposition that right foot. So the right foot is now touching the left hip more than it's towards the top of your space. But you'll just take a moment to pause. Take a moment to breathe. You'll notice what you experience in this moment. We're trying to target your outer right hip. So as long as you feel stuff there, great. Simultaneously, you might feel stuff on the front of your left hip and thigh. Great. Awesome. And then as you're ready, we're going to slowly come out of this. So if you're doing a sleeping pigeon or swan, start to walk yourselves back up. Plant your palms. Go back to a downward facing dog. You might lift your right leg up, bend your right knee open, and stack your right hip if that feels great to you. If not, don't do that. And then when you're ready, you'll come back to a neutral downward facing dog. And then try the other side as you're ready. And you're just noticing what happens as you come into this. Just notice what you notice. What adjustments do you need to make so that you can come close to the shape, so that you can experience it fully for this moment, however it might look. So again, the back toes might be curled under, the back leg might be straight. You might be drawing the outer left hip back, the outer right hip forward. Your pigeon might be up and alert. Your pigeon might decide to take a nap. Just notice what your pigeon wants to do right now. Just really pay attention to the sensations in the body. Okay. We've got about 1 to 2 more breath cycles here. And those that have a sleeping pigeon, start to slowly wake your pigeon up. Walk your hands back underneath you. Curl the back toes under, step yourself back to a downward facing dog. You might lift your left leg up for a 3-legged dog and then open and stack the hip for dog at a hydrant. And then when you feel complete with that, you'll go ahead and come to a neutral down dog shape. And then from here, come forward into planky pose again. Then from plank pose, lower all the way down. One piece. Yep. Gently roll onto your backs. And then when you find yourself on your back, just take a moment to be still and notice what you notice happening between the sides. Notice what the back of the head feels like. Notice if you can feel the backs of the shoulder blades, the hip bones, the thighs, the calves, the feet. Okay. And then when you're ready, go ahead and bend your knees. If the knees are not bent, plant your feet firmly on the floor. Bring your arms alongside your hips. Start to walk the shoulder blades underneath you. Press down into the feet, press down into the head, lift the hips high. Some of you will just walk your shoulder blades underneath you and hold on to the outer edges of the mat. Some of you will interlace your hands. Some of you might robot your arms. But what I want you to notice is how much can you press into the upper arm bone, the upper outer arm bone? How much can you press evenly in through the feet to lift the hips, press into the skull, and then still continue to lift the chest high? And we'll stay here for about 3 or 4 more breaths. Keep pressing evenly into the inner edges of the feet, lengthening your tailbone forward. And then notice if you can breathe between the shoulder blades and the back of the body. Awesome sauce. When you're ready to come out, you'll release your hands, you'll untuck your shoulders, you'll bring your pelvis back down to the floor, and you'll pause for a brief moment. Notice what it feels like to just be here. And then gently open the arms out into a T shape. Press through your feet, lift your pelvis up and to the right and put your butt back down. And then send both legs over to the left. And ideally try to make a 90-degree angle in your hips with both knees stacked right on top of each other. Some of you might need to bring your left hand on top of your right knee just to track this. See if you can send your top knee over to the wall to your left. So sometimes that top hip slides back. See if you can slide it forward. It might peel your right shoulder up and away from the floor. And then see if you can rotate across the rib cage to inchworm the right shoulder blade back towards the floor. So the right knee is going to the left, but the right shoulder blade is trying to stay towards the right. And you're just finding this twist and the stretch happening across the spine. And you just pause and you breathe. And if you feel this in the upper back near the shoulder blades, notice if you can soften there. Nice. One more breath cycle here. Very gently, if you're holding on to that right leg, release the left hand. Gently come back onto your back. Take a moment in center to be still. And then we'll try all that to the other side. So arms out into the T shape. Press into your feet, lift your pelvis up, slide your bum over to the left, and then allow both legs to cascade over to the right, finding a 90-degree angle in the hips. Right hand might come to the top of the left thigh. And you really want to drive your left hip towards the right so that your left knee is stacked directly on top of the right knee. That's the bottom knee. And then you can rotate across the rib cage to see if you can inchworm that left shoulder blade back towards the floor if it came off. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Nice job, guys. And very gently, just take one or two more breaths here. And when you are ready to come out, you'll release that right hand. And you'll come back through center. Re-square your bum underneath your shoulders. Okay. You might walk your feet outside of your hips. Some of you might want to just knock the knees in towards each other and give yourself a hug. Some of you might want to take some windshield wipers here, but just give yourself a moment to reset. Okay, those that are in movement, gently find your place in stillness. And then from this still space, I want you to just take 3 audible breaths. So big breath in through the nose, an audible exhale out through the mouth. And with every exhale, just allow the belly to fall with gravity. And in this state, I want you to check in with your body and see if there's something else that you feel called to do to wind your practice down. Maybe you want to take Happy Baby or Supta Baddha Konasana. Maybe you want a gentle inversion, legs up the wall. Maybe you just want to stay right here as you are. You'll just take the opportunity to find what you need. And I want you to just notice as you find yourself in whatever final shape or shapes you're coming into, notice how you can continue to just allow the body to relax, how you can continue to allow the body to breathe. And then when you feel complete, if your legs up the wall, you might just choose to stay there. But when you feel complete, we're going to make our way to our final resting pose. So maybe it's legs up the wall or Supta Baddha Konasana or Shavasana, but take your time and make your way there. And I encourage you as you make your way to your final resting pose to allow the body to be as supported as possible. So if that means you need to cover it up with blankets or clothing or support it with props, by all means, please do that. And then again, I want you to take 3 big audible exhalations. Big breaths in and audible breaths out, softening any tension around the jaw, belly, the ribs, the throat. Yep. Okay. After your third exhalation, just allow the breath to fall into its natural, involuntary space. Today, I'm just going to read something briefly before I let you go into your Shavasana. So again, this comes from David Whyte's Consolations, the solace, nourishment, and underlying meaning of everyday words. So this word is close. Close is what we almost always are. Close to happiness, close to another, close to leaving, close to tears, close to God, close to losing faith, close to being done, close to saying something, or close to success. And even with the greatest sense of satisfaction, close to giving the whole thing up. Our human essence lies not in arrival, but in being almost there. We are creatures who are on the way, our journey a series of impending anticipated arrivals. We live by unconsciously measuring the inverse distance of our proximity, an intimacy calibrated by the vulnerability we feel in giving up our sense of separation. To go beyond our normal identities and become closer than close is to lose our sense of self in temporary joy, a form of arrival that only happens to deeper forms of intimacy that blur our fixed, controlling surface identities. To consciously become close is a courageous form of unilateral disarmament, a chance of our arm and our love, a willingness to hazard our affections and our unconscious declaration that we might be equal to the inevitable loss that vulnerability of being close will always bring. Human beings do not find their essence through fulfillment or eventual arrival, but by staying close to the way they like to travel, to the way they hold the conversations between the ground on which they stand and the horizon to which they go. We are, in effect, always close to the ultimate secret, that we are more real in our simple wish to find a way than any destination we could reach. The step between not understanding that and understanding that is as close as we get to happiness. So as you find yourself in this shape, I invite you to allow yourself to continue to just drop into the breath, to find a greater sense of closeness and intimacy to that which you are, which doesn't ask that you do anything other than breathe. I'll leave you here for just a minute longer with yourself, and when it's time to come out, I'll let you know. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. Notice if there's any part of you that's longing to linger here. If so, stay here as long as you'd like. When you are ready, you'll start to invite small, gentle movement back into your physical form. And in whatever way is appropriate for you, you'll start to make your way to one of your sides, and you'll rest there for a few breath cycles before trying to sit up. As you're ready, you'll start to roll your chest more towards the floor. Press into your top hand and draw yourself to a tall and comfortable seat. And as you do come to vertical, I encourage you to sit on something. And then with the gaze still soft or the eyes closed, take a moment to really feel inside your body and notice what it feels like to stack the shoulders over the hips, the ears over the shoulders. Place the hands wherever feels comfortable so that your chest stays open and your heart stays lifted. Soften any tension around the forehead, the eyelids, the cheeks, the tongue, the jaw, and the throat. Gently bring your awareness to your nostrils. As best as you can on your next in-breath, just draw the breath in through your left nostril. As you exhale, allow the breath to go out through the right nostril. When you need to, draw the breath in through your right nostril. When you need to, exhale out just through the left nostril. You'll repeat that on your own, inhaling through the left nostril. And then exhaling out through the right nostril. When you need to, draw the breath in through the right nostril. And exhale out through the left nostril. That's 2 rounds of mental Nadi Shodhana. Go ahead and repeat that about 4 more times on your own. As you continue to breathe, you might notice that energy starts to collect around your third eye center. You might notice a calmness or a quietness that comes over you. You might notice that it becomes hard to track the nostrils coming in and out of the breath, and any and all of this is okay. Just continue to soften and continue to breathe. At the end of your next exhalation, just gently release the pranayama technique and just take 3 natural breaths. And as you breathe here now, I want you to just notice what you notice. What is it that you feel most close to now? We'll go ahead and complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. Bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart towards your hands. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Bring your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Bring our thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And bring your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light within me honors and salutes the light within each of you. Namaste.